I am Slick Nick, the side hustler. Let's check out the comment that inspired this video. This morning, I looked at an ongoing conversation that came through a comment from Andrew Moss, a long time supporter of my channel for years now. So his initial comment was referencing 16 seconds into one of my videos where I had mentioned that I have 10,000 subscribers or over. And he said this, quote, "Nope, 10,000 subscribers are not watching you anymore, Nick. You decided to betray your original fan base, and consequently numbers have plummeted." To which I immediately agreed, and I explained from there, quote, "On my end, I'm watching ad revenue numbers increase since I switched to keto videos. My plan is literally paying off. Keto attracts more relevant sponsors." So going down a little bit more in the conversations, and this is specifically right here what inspired this video. Andrew said, quote, "To be fair to Nick, he is openly a capitalist and doesn't hide it like others do. Nick, I'd quite like you to do a video about the producer versus consumer mindset. I've always admired you as a relatable. I have an English degree and I just said relatable. I've always admired you as a relatable businessman because of your additional revenue streams, equating over $500 a month, coming in from your YouTube channels and blog on top of your 9-to-5 recruiter job. I've noticed a lot of people at the moment complaining about their job or about being unemployed, but they are not doing enough to help themselves. Perhaps you should encourage your subscribers to learn to be producers as opposed to being consumers all the time. Having additional revenue streams has never been more important during these times, as job insecurity is at an all-time high. I've started doing the same in recent months as I've realized you just can't rely on the dwindling job market. And you really want to be a puppet or a robot or someone who's held hostage by a corporate company for the rest of your life." End quote. To which I responded, "Your wish shall be granted. I will record and publish the video later today." And yes, that will be the plan for me to publish this in real time, same day as Andrew lit this off. So ultimately, when we simmer this on down, Andrew's request is for me to make a video about the producer versus the consumer mindset. And the way I've always said that is the creator versus the consumer. I again, having an English degree, I'm like, if I can't rhyme it, I want to at least have alliteration. So creator versus consumer. You in this instance are the consumer. Not that that's a bad thing, especially in this instance if I as the creator can teach you, the consumer, to be, like me, a creator. So let's look into this. So yeah, just a few things off the top before we get into the fun of this video. So in case you're new here, my main focus is my keto videos. And in real life, in the last couple months, I have switched over to the keto lifestyle and I love it. I'm passionate about this and I'm really enjoying what I'm learning and I'm enjoying the changes I'm seeing in my own physique. I'm loving it. I also recognize that this is a popular topic and thus creators, those of us who have YouTube channels, we realize that the number of subscribers is important, but not so much as important is how much ad revenue we're actually bringing in. And it's very similar, speaking of keto, it's very similar to if you were to look at, let's say, 500 calories, okay? We could be looking at a Starbucks Frappuccino and a Snickers bar. Let's say that's 500 calories. I don't know what it is, but easily, right? We could also look at 500 calories as being a piece of salmon and some greens in there and some cream cheese, which would be a low insulin spike. If eating that keto meal, I'm not going to be storing fat from that. I'm actually going to gain nutrition from that, protein and fat. Or I could drink the Starbucks and eat the candy and I'm just going to have a sugar crash, my insulin's going to spike and it's actually going to promote me gaining fat. Either way, assuming they were about the same amount of calories, several hundred either way, obviously they're not the same, even if the exact number of calories were the same, right? And that's how it is with having the number of subscribers that I do. I have over 10,000 on this channel, and on my other one, which is called The Famous American, it's got nearly 5,000. So I've got about 15,000 subscribers, and I'm looking at, actually I know for a fact because my wife and I are working on our taxes right now. Last year in 2020, I brought in $5,400 between my 2 YouTube channels alone. Now, usually I'm averaging around $500 a month, but towards the end of last year, I noticed that the ad revenue, despite the subscribers going up, the ad revenue wasn't there. So you can imagine how further inspired I was in 2021 to start a new series, which actually was something I was passionate about, which is keto. I'm very interested in it. What I was doing before, I was only doing that for the consumers. But what I realized is keto sells. There are so many keto products on the market. Even I could even say ButcherBox. There we go. That's a big sponsor on YouTube. So if I am attracting sponsors that are going to pay more money for ads and people are more likely to click on, I can make better money with less views. And that's another comment I just got in yesterday's, someone said, Nick, your views are way down. I'm okay with that. I'm even okay with subscribership being down. In fact, though, it's up. It's only increasing right now. But the number I care about is how much ad revenue is coming in. So $5,400 total is what I brought in last year from YouTube ad revenue. So that's less than $500 a month. My plan is to increase it back where it is over, because for a while I was averaging $550. But I realized, hey, what I basically did is I exhausted the market. I made so many thousands of videos that there wasn't really anything new to say. So I thought, well, what if I aim for a smaller audience out of my existing audience that would want to learn about this? So that's my plan. It is working, and I think that's very interesting. So let's next talk about creator versus consumer. So even me, I'm always learning. Something I started this week. I learned that, have you watched it's on Netflix, it's called what? The Social Dilemma. It's talking about how YouTube and Facebook and all this, it's an algorithm. It's a machine with no soul. So those of us who are creators behind it, we have to learn the algorithm and go along with it so that we can grow our ad revenue. So for example, something I started doing this week that I wasn't diligent about before. When I read comments, I will now like the comment, assuming that I agree with it at all. I will also give it a heart. And you can imagine a guy who's almost 40 years old, oh, I love what they said, right? But ultimately, it feeds the algorithm to show that I am a creator who is interacting with my consumers. And YouTube rewards creators like me who are interactive. That's something that they're doing. And also now, I'm pinning comments. The most relevant comment that I receive in a video, I'll pin it so it goes to the top. And the reason I'm doing that is it shows the algorithm basically what is this video actually about, and people who are interacting with it, what are they saying that's relevant to it, so that we can draw a bigger crowd. So that's the reality of it, and that's something I've learned, and I'm working with that. So it is really interesting. So going to you, again, the consumer, I've always said on my channel, it's about having a victorious mindset, not a victim mentality. Victim mentality is, I don't have enough, I'm not good enough. Victorious mindset is, you know what, I'm not good enough, but I'm gonna find a way to beat the system, to hack this thing, so that I can make this work for me, despite apparently not being the right man for the job. Maybe I'll change the rules a little bit so I can make this work for me. So that's victorious mindset. Here's how I wanna close the video out, is I want to share with you, and this is gonna be a bit ironic, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Andrew, who inspired this video, I think he identifies as agnostic. So this is gonna be an ironic way to end the video, but this is truth, this is where I'm coming from. Me, the real life Nick Shell. This morning, before I went to the gym, I have a habit of reading in the Bible. Right now I'm reading through Luke. So this is talking about what Jesus was telling his followers. And check out how relevant I think that this is. Check out how relevant I think this. Maybe you'll check it out. So this is Jesus. So now Jesus, by the way, Luke chapter 16, that's what this is. Now he, Jesus, was also saying to his disciples, there was a rich man who had a manager. So imagine me as the manager, not the rich man. And this manager was reporting to him, the rich man, let's say YouTube, as squandering his possessions and basically not making videos that were making enough ad revenue, right? And YouTube, the man, called him and said to him, What is this I hear about you? Give an accounting of your management, for you can no longer be manager. The manager told himself, what shall I do since my master is taking the management away from me? That's me thinking, oh, my ad revenue is going down. What should I do? I'm not strong enough to dig. I am ashamed to beg. I know what I shall do, so that when I am removed from the management, people will welcome me into their homes. And he summoned each one of his master's debtors and began to say to the first, how much do you owe my master? And he said, 100 measures of oil. And he said to him, take your bill, sit down quickly, and write 50. Then he said to another, how much do you owe? And he said, 100 measures of wheat. He said to him, take your bill and write 80. And his master praised the unrighteous manager, YouTuber, because he acted shrewdly. For the sons of this age are more shrewd in relation to their own kind than the sons of light. And I say to you, this is Jesus now, and I say to you, make friends for yourselves by means of the mammon of unrighteousness, so that when it fails, they will receive you into the eternal dwellings. End quote. So mammon is a really old word that means money and other material possessions. So a little note here in the Bible says, we should use money wisely, never dishonestly, to help win people so that they will welcome us in heaven. That's the note. But here's the concept. The concept is, and you'll see this in one of my favorite books in the Bible, Ecclesiastes, which I have a song actually called that on this channel, where it talks about those of us who are believers living in this world know that existence is more than what we just see every day, right? And the concept is, those of us who are righteous and believe, and I say righteous only because of God's grace, not because I'm a good person, but those of us who follow God, it says that ultimately, people are building up all these empires and all this business and all this stuff, but ultimately, God will find favor with those who follow him and seek righteousness, and ultimately, basically, it's more money that comes to people who want to serve God and follow him, because we know that money is dirty. We know it's not the cure. We know that fame is not the cure. Granted, some fame may have to be involved in getting that money. But in another parable in the Bible, Jesus talks about how servants had different talents. We can think of that as talent, like making YouTube videos, or we can actually think of it as a money investment. We could look at it that way. And there was some that only were giving 1 talent. Some were given 5. And he talks about how the ones with the least said, I don't have much to do. I don't have a lot to invest, so I'm just going to bury it in the ground. Meanwhile, the ones that had more than that said, well, this may not be a whole lot, but I'll do something with it. So at the end, the ones who invested it, however much they had, were the ones that were rewarded. So I feel that as a Christian, I feel that it's not about making a lot of money. It's about managing money and investing money. That's I think a theme of the Bible. Not get rich and famous, but hey, if you're going to live in this world and function among other people who may or may not believe what you do, ultimately you will find, quote, street cred, I quoted myself just then, if you are able to help other people manage their money well. And how do you do that? You have to be able to manage your own money first. Last part in this nearly 15-minute video that only 37 people will watch will be over. Yesterday, I was bringing in the garbage can, the recycling can, and my neighbor, who's 81, and his wife were walking by. They were walking the dog. And he said, hey, Nick, how's all the updates in your home going? Because we got new floors in our home over the last couple months. And I said, yeah, I guess we're all done now. And he said, well, now you just got to pay off the debt. I said, no. I said, we paid up front. We didn't put this on credit. We paid cash for this. And he said, well, now you can work on paying off your other debts. I said, we don't have other debts. Our cars, we pay cash for those. No, we don't have other debts. And he said, well, now you need to start focusing on your retirement, because he's double my age. I said, we're already doing that. We've got tens of thousands in the bank that we're focusing on that, 401k, all this stuff. And he said, you're a rare breed. You're actually doing this thing differently than a lot of people here in the United States. I said, that is true. And I would even say this just for fun, but my other channel, which is The Famous American, talks about DNA test results. Something I was always speculated in our family is that we were actually descendants of Jewish people, which was confirmed in multiple times through our DNA test. And that other channel that talks about those sort of things. Jewish people had to manage money well because they were constantly kicked out of whatever part of the world they were in. Then they got here and things really went well for them here in the United States. Your comments belong right here.